Barff is the best fairies player. It's confirmed. Let's take a look why. Hi guys, welcome back to Casting Commons, the show where we talk and discuss all things Pauper. I am your host Teasdale, and this is my co-host, the Tellurium Wins himself, Reese.
Hello, what an old card that is not playable.
Well,
might play.
Spoilers. Before we start, do not forget to support us by rating us 5 stars on Spotify, and I think you might be at him, my dog, I'm not really sure. But do not forget to follow us on Twitter at Casting Commons 1 for the most recent Pauper deck lists, and of course, subscribe to us on YouTube. How are you doing? You good?
Yeah, it always catches me off guard, that I don't know why. Every week, I have to think on the fly of how I'm doing. Yeah, all good. Got to draft some Lorwyn. Set is sweet. We need more of it, basically. I feel like it definitely should have had at least 2 sets rather than some Ninja Turtles instead. But yeah, it's cool format, cool to draft. Obviously, not that much really is impacting Pauper, or not that much that will impact Pauper, it seems. But sick cards either way.
Spoiler for the whole challenge: from the whole top 10, there is a whole fat 0 so far. But yeah, that doesn't mean it's not going to impact Pauper. Some people just take time. There's a couple of decks that we think cards might slot into that they aren't playing, but that's not to say that they won't try them out in the future, for sure.
I think to be fair, most of the actual sets are a lot more slow burners now than they have been previously, as we spoke about like last week or the week before about the fire design crack. Obviously the UB sets seem to show up a lot faster. But like we're seeing AoE stuff now that we predicted that we would see, and it didn't show up, and now it is. So
yeah.
Just a slow burner.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, before we dive into the challenges, not really much to talk about on the housekeeping side of things. Just tournament news. There's the RIW event in Michigan this weekend on the 31st. Check the link in the description. It does have, obviously, points and stuff towards their league, but with a good enough attendance, it starts paying out and becomes like a 1K, I think. So yeah, check that out. Pretty cool. They're always popping off with some cool events.
When are we expecting the next PFP announcement?
Ooh.
You think we'll get one before Pauper getting in March? Mid-March?
I don't know. When was the last one? Was it October?
It was, high tide. Gone, goodbye.
So it'll be October. At least, I don't know. I would probably expect some sort of check-in, right? At least around Pauper getting, if not before or after.
I don't really know if they have much of a schedule, if there's nothing really going on. Like, obviously, we would like them to say, oh, we think the format's good. Even if there's no change, but I don't know if they've got like a every 3 months check-in type thing, or
they should. If they don't, they definitely should.
Probably.
Even
it
if
would be appreciated.
Yeah, exactly. Just to say like all sorts of different things of what, like, I always find that not even the like, you know, oh my god, we think this card's fine, so everyone who are crying about bans or whatever calms down. I like the numbers things that obviously we don't get access to, which is really interesting. Like, you know, this deck is cool, or this deck was on their radar because it's the best performing deck against X, Y, Z. No, that sort of stuff. They're cool. I really like them. But yeah, it'd just be cool. Just have a standard, even if it is just a data crunching thing of what the numbers currently showing.
Yeah. The next like overall BNR, I think, is the first week or the second week in February. It's like the 9th.
All right, okay.
Friday the 9th. No, not Friday the 9th. Monday the 9th. So maybe we'll get some of them.
Yeah, maybe.
Even if it's just the format looks good.
Yeah.
Or the format looks balanced. Or
you're just going to get big capital letters in the Pauper section of the BNR, no changes, and that is it. That's all they're going to say.
It's okay.
Yeah. All G, bruh. And then that's it, moving on.
Which, to be fair, at the moment, I don't think, unless they were doing another trial, which I could get on board with to try and reduce the size of the ban list.
Yeah.
And add new cards. I don't think anything needs to go, but I would like to see some trials happen again.
I agree. I can definitely agree with that. But yeah, moving on to some challenges. Obviously, got the 4 normal challenges to cover.
Quite interesting this week as well. Sort of a lot of the usual suspects, but quite mixed up. The first challenge is the Thursday challenge, 22nd of Jan, 46 players. First place was Mono Blue Fair, piloted by Barff. Second place was Elves. Third place was Grixis Finity. Fourth place was Rakdos Madness. Fifth place was Jund Wildfire, piloted by the PFP member himself, Hyson. Sixth place was Mono Blue Terror. Seventh place was Elves. And eighth place was Rally Red. And then the two near misses, 9th and 10th, were a pair of Mono Blue Terrors. Obviously, Barff taking it down with Mono Blue Fair, as they tend to do with decks that include spell stutter sprite. Maybe not Mono Blue, but usually having 4 spell stutter sprites in. The list is, I guess, a fairly straightforward one. It's the one of Cyber Cryptomancer build that we've seen them pilot quite a bit. Other than that, the only really standout is the counterspell suite is obviously 4 counterspells, but then 2 dispel, 2 force spikers, like a split. Other than that, fairly stock Mono Blue Fair.
Yeah, nothing too crazy.
Even the sideboard, there's nothing really that spicy going on. There's split between 2 bind the monsters and 1 unable to scream, which is a bit of a strange one. I'm not sure which situation you'd rather have one or the other. Like, I guess unable to scream keeps counters on if there's already counters on it, so it keeps that sort of active. Maybe.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, it seems pretty weird, but I don't really understand the like. There's a few of them, right? These two are the main two, right? But there is a couple others that do sort of flicker in now. I don't really get the idea behind like the 2-1 split. But no.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, especially with the amount of elves as well at the moment. Like bind the monsters is just unplayable, so you just have no removal against elves if you're not playing Unable to Screams. And obviously the Screams aren't ideal, but they're much better than literally nothing. I guess talking about elves, the second place list is basically what we're dubbing the new standard elf list. The mono green with the stock sideboard of Gingerbread Cabin, Monstrous Emergence, Pulses, Spinewood Paladins, and Vitu Ghazi Inspector. Interestingly, come up against Tyson in the quarterfinals and destroyed the Jund Wildfire, Clan Shaman main deck, Toxin main deck, Breath Weapon sideboard deck. Sort of an interesting place to be with elves when your Clan Shaman decks are not beating them.
Yeah, I often find, to be fair, that is a quite common misconception, to be fair, that, like, I remember a lot of people, when Jund Wildfire was getting big and popular, that there was like, oh, it beats elves, but as soon as you just go straight green and all your things are mana dorks and they're not, you know, like Birch Law and Jasper Sentinels, you're straight up just splurging so much mana at them, you're just so much faster. Like, the Mass Vandal on a Generous Mass Vandal basically is just back-breaking to the point where it slows them down. So like, even a turn of, you know, they lose the tap land and have to play another tap land to then find the red source is like game-breaking.
Yeah, I think you're right. Since the Mass Vandal Generous Ent tech basically just cemented itself as this is a card package in the main deck that all the elves lists are playing, it definitely made the matchup a lot better. Obviously, this Jund Wildfire list is playing the 4 of Infiltrator to try and actually have a faster threat, I guess. But it just doesn't have evasion or anything, so it just gets blocked by a Landmarl. So you don't even really have a quick clock after you've cleared the board once. You then still can't finish them off. Yeah, it does seem pretty miserable for Jund Wildfire, which is surprising, really.
Yeah. Cool to see. I'm all for, you know, beating up on the Jund Wildfire players, to be fair, so sometimes good sideboard cards in your main deck just isn't good enough.
Yeah. Hyson's list in terms of Jund Wildfire was sort of semi-interesting, I guess. He's got a 1 of Sagu Wildling in the main. No Hydras. Obviously, the 4 Infiltrators, 3 Cracklands, and 4 Chrysalis. So no Familiars either. So quite a shift in the creature package. And then sideboard cards in the main, there's 2 Pulsed Morasses and 2 Toxins. And then the sideboard is sort of just as you'd expect with the usual Pyroblasts, Weather Storms, Edicts, Spell Bombs, and 2 Breath Weapons, which clearly weren't helpful enough.
Yeah, I find the Sagu pretty interesting, to be fair. Obviously, it can help fix mana and, like, can be that half a land if you want. Because I think Walker went up to 21 lands, right? From memory when Deadly Dispute got banned as a way to obviously help with the hit and land drop. So it kind of makes sense in that front.
Yeah.
But it's also your splash colour to help fix your mana, so that doesn't really work in a sense, in a roundabout way. Like, green's usually like the last colour you get and all that sort of stuff. A bit of a strange one.
Yeah, it is awkward. Obviously, you'd look at the list and you think, oh, well, red is like the splash colour, but you need reds to play your wildfire, so it does end up being green, which is sort of a bit backwards.
Yeah, it's definitely a strange one, but yeah, I can imagine that's probably that would be my thought process. It's like obviously like the pseudo 21st land, but it's sort of a fine creature as well. But it's just odd that it is on the splash.
Yeah. The only other list really that I wanted to talk about that stood out in this challenge is the 6th place Mono Blue Terror. It sort of looks initially like a stock Delver Terror list. But then it's got 2 Preordains and 4 Demon Furies in, and 0 1-mana counter spells. No Dispels, no Force Spikes, no Spell Pierces. Just cuts them, plays 2 more removal spells and 2 Preordains, which I thought was quite interesting.
That is an interesting decision. I wonder if it's sort of a weird thing that, like, people already play around them anyways, because they just run a different wrath of them. They're always like either they're on Dispel or they're on Force Spike or they're on Spell Pierce or whatever. So it's like, they're going to play around it anyways. I don't need them. I might as well just play Preordain.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. You might be onto something there, to be fair. Maybe also just been listening to Flores on his podcast last week where he basically said you should be playing Preordain to set Delver up. Even though that always seems quite backwards to me because you have to keep the bad card to keep an instant or sorcery on top.
Yeah.
But it did work. It's just much worse than Ponder.
Fair enough.
Interesting. But yeah, interesting to see Mono Blue Terror still sort of getting played around with. The other 2, the 9th and 10th, were just basically stock Delver Terror lists, like the Discover End lists. Anything else you want to touch on?
No, I think I'm good.
I'll just... Yeah, the Grixis Finity even was pretty just stock as well. Sometimes there's something spicy going on in there, but not this week. Moving on then to the Friday challenge, Friday the 23rd, 57 players. First was Blue Black Fae, once again piloted by Barff, so still on the spell stutters, but just adding a colour. Second place was Gardens, third place was Rally Red, fourth place was Rakdos Madness, fifth place was Mono Red Madness, sixth place was Gardens, seventh was Mono Red Sly, and eighth was Jund Wildfire. And then the 2 near misses, ninth was Blue Black Terror, and 10th was Elves, just sneaking into the top 10 again to keep the streak alive of Elves just crushing. I guess starting with Barff's Blue Black list. Sort of once again like a fairly straightforward Blue Black Fae, as the Mono Blue Fae was fairly straightforward. I guess the only real standouts is the one of Ambusher in the main, which sort of isn't 100% set. 2 Augurs, which seems like a bit of a strange number to me. I'm quite used to seeing 3 or 4 in the Blue Black list. And that's it really. Everything, I guess 2 Moon Circuits, like they usually like 1, right?
Yeah, the list's pretty all over the spot. I could imagine that they were concerned maybe about Elves, right? That they decided to shift to Blue Black, I'm guessing.
Yeah, you get the one-off Fumes in the main, and then the board's got not nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get Snuff Out, obviously, and Cast Down as well, which if you can tag the Priests or the Timber Watches, you've got a lot more time to actually do stuff.
Yeah, which is pretty interesting. It's the only thing I can sort of I can surmise.
Yeah.
Maybe did well for them, but maybe they just were Spellstutter masters yet again, I guess. Who knows? Who knows with Barff?
The Blue Black lists always look quite funny to me because just having 2 Brainstorm in a format where you can play 4 Brainstorm always seems odd.
Yeah. Especially now, right? When obviously we've got so much shuffling nowadays. In like modern Pauper, we've got like so many ways to shuffle the top of our deck. Like,
yeah, it's got one of landscaping as well, just as an extra.
Yeah. You know what I mean? There's just so many ways to just clear the top of the deck that surely you might as well just run more than 2 brains.
I guess the main thing I've sort of missed with this is it's got 4 miscreants in as well, which is not normally the norm. So I'm guessing that's where the like cuts have come from, is to fit these extra miscreants in to be more fair focused. Whereas like usually it's like 4 seer, 4 spell stuff, that's it.
Very true.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Outside of Barff crushing once again, nothing else really that standout-ish. The mono red madness list was a bit funky. Basically doing what all mono red madness lists do and trying to find space for cards that you really want in your deck, but the list is so set that you can't fit them in. This list ended up cutting Epicures, so it's only got 1 single Epicure in, which is quite an interesting number to land on.
What even is the point?
Basically to fit in a Chain Lightning and 2 Tectonic Hazards, which, to be fair, seems like a pretty good shout at the moment with all the elves knocking about, and obviously not irrelevant against Fair as well. But yeah, Epicure is an interesting one to cut, especially just to 1. Like, surely at that point you just go the whole hog and cut them all and put another Chain Lightning or another Hazard or something in.
Yeah, that's the thing that makes no sense to me. It's like I can agree with people either saying like Kessig or Epicure is the worst card depending on the meta, but then just like keep on wanting is just event Epicure is just so.
I sometimes think like this is one of those lists that could feasibly just go to like 66 cards or something. Like basically everything you want. Like you don't really want to cut anything. Like people sometimes cut Luton, which I can get behind. Obviously, sometimes I cut Epicure, sometimes I cut Kessig. But if you didn't have to cut cards to go to 60, you just wouldn't be cutting those cards because they still work really well. And you've got that much like draw potential. I just wonder if you could go to like a 65 card special or something. Like add a land, add just this 4 up that you want to play and be fine. I don't know.
Maybe the trick is actually, like teachings of old was just like 101 teachings. Maybe that's what you need. Just there's that many good red cards. You just go like 101 red, and it's just 100 good red burn spells, and just keep it going.
Sideboard wise, it sort of continues on the pattern of I hate elves because there's 4 electricary in the main in the sideboard. Sorry. Again, hitting fair. Obviously, electricary in particular, but it seems like a very fair pointed choice. As opposed to just more end the festivities, Tectonic Hazards type cards. But it's not really something we've seen recently from Mono Red Madness. It just sort of ignored those decks. But Mono Blue Fair is definitely having a bit of a resurgence, and obviously Elves is absolutely tearing up at the moment. So I can see why that choice was sort of made. It's basically come at the cost of the spell, which I forget its name, the landfall burn spell.
Serum Blaze.
Serum Blaze, that's the one. And then I want to Fairy Macabre for good measure, because
just in case.
Just in case.
Yeah, I find like I guess because it is Fair and Elves seem to have done really well. Like obviously these changes make sense. I feel like if Elves was just everywhere, I feel like it's probably not necessary, right? Like Elves is seems like a pretty solid matchup to me, anyways. But yeah, like obviously you might as well if you're gonna verse if you expect to verse a lot of Fair and Elves, like you might as well, right? Because obviously Fair's it's not like it's a bad matchup, but it's not like free win, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But so I'm not against it.
Yeah. Fair's definitely the more awkward out of the two, although now that the Elves list is quite cemented and the sideboards are quite cemented, I feel like it's definitely gotten worse after game 1 because basically like 11 cards of the Elf sideboard are just life gain.
Yeah, which is true. I guess,
and the other 4 cards are removal for gutter snipe.
Yeah, I guess it might be a bit worse now. Like I haven't really played this matchup since they've added Monstrous Emergence as well. So I can imagine, it's probably a bit worse. But yeah, it's pretty interesting because obviously most of the time you can just jam a gutter snipe on 3 and then kill them 2 turns later.
Yeah.
While also darting and bolting relevant stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, you just become a control deck, don't you, at that point?
Yeah.
Especially with the mono green, you don't have to worry about like Hydroblast and stuff like that. But yeah, Emergence could definitely change that. And then I guess the final thing for me that I wanted to highlight was the Sly list. Generally, sort of the same, but it was running a one of bargain, which I thought was quite an interesting like card that we haven't really seen play, but sort of fits quite well in this deck. It's a single red for an instant. Target attacking creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, and each attacking non-human gains trample until end of turn. So in this list, literally everything is non-human. So whatever you're attacking with is getting trample. One of them's getting +2/+2, but then also you've got these 5s, like the +2/+2 equipment. So even your 3/1s or 4/2s trample is pretty strong.
Yeah.
Especially if they get blocked. Most of the time it's going to be by 1/1s or all ones.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty. I was thinking to myself, I was like, why do we want to give loads of 1/1s trample? And I was like, oh, wait.
Because they're not.
I was like, oh, wait, they're not 1/1s. Yeah. It's pretty cool. Cool tech.
Anything else you want to touch on?
No, not particularly. Defile's back, I guess. Just to shout out the 6+ Gardens list. Defile is back as a 4 of.
It looks like quite a good Gardens list, that would be fair. Quite a clean Gardens list. Snuff Out being back in it as well is not irrelevant because that sort of disappeared for a while.
Yeah.
These are the lists though, which I'm like, you're very close to just being mono black in the main. Like there's one pulse. Obviously, you've got your Crypt Rats, you've got your Gardens, you sort of need them for your engine, but even then it's cut to 3 Gardens. We're still playing the one of Golgari Rot Farm.
Yeah, I'm never ever gonna understand. Like even when you run more green cards, I still don't understand the Rot Farm.
Yeah,
especially as soon as you run stuff like Snuff Out and Defile, you're like, I just want to hit swamps. I just want swamps. Odd choices are being made.
Moving on to the Saturday, the 24th. 46 players, so quite a small weekend. To be fair, 57 on Friday, 46 on the Saturday, and 46 on the Thursday. So a lot smaller than we have seen the last couple of weeks. First place, we've said it twice, we'll say it again. Barff, Mono Blue Fair.
Yep.
The triple header of challenge wins, which is pretty ridiculous to be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Second place, Mono Blue Terror. Third place, Rally Red. Fourth place, Elves. Fifth place, Rally Red. Sixth place, Rakdos Madness. Seventh place, Food Combo. And eighth place, White Weenie. And then the 2 near misses, 9th, Mono Red Madness. And 10th, Corgate. I guess, touching on Barff's list, it is basically the same one from the Thursday.
Well, moving on.
He decided he did not need to actually worry about elves after playing on the Friday and just changed back.
Yeah, that is honestly the only reason I can think. They were like, oh, I'm worried there's going to be a lot of elves. Let's play black, and then they'll win anyways. And they're like, oh, I never really need to care about black elves. Let's go back. But yeah, it's quite amusing, really.
The fourth place elves list is actually different. Most of the elves lists we've seen in the past few weeks have just been the stock list with this the same sideboard. This one it is the stock main, but there's a one-off gingerbread cabin in the main because they couldn't fit it in the sideboard because they're playing lots of other things in the sideboard, including 4 fairy macabres, which is a choice right now. There's one of paladin, 2 web weaver changelings in that paladin slot. Sort of you can take it or leave it, really. They're sort of a very similar card. The consensus obviously has been to go towards paladin, but especially if Fair's sort of quite popular, I can see why you would want web weavers. 2 Viridian longbows, which does actually seem quite good right now with all the elves in Fair about. And then 2 well wishers. Which I can get behind. The sort of standout for me is the 4 fairies. Just seem pretty pointless right now. There's not really any dredge. There's not really any spy.
Was obviously worried about the new cat food combo. Clearly, it was.
Yeah, maybe, but even that, it's
it's not.
People play and do well, but you have to be a very particular Magic Online player to pick up that deck and play it on a Magic Online challenge. So it's that sort of guarantees it to be not highly represented anywhere. So,
but I also think Macabre's also not the greatest card against that as well, anyways. No. So it's not it's not like Spy where it's if the combo rides in hand, it's they can't go off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the only other thing I can think of is elves and fairies, you could sort of go with, Spy's sort of okay against that sort of side of things. Maybe it's going to come back, but then, I don't know. That's like a bold choice to go, yeah, this is, people are going to try Spy because fairies is doing well sort of thing, but I don't know. Seems like an odd choice to me.
Yeah. But still, elves doing elf things, doing well.
Put the wrong change thing in the deck as well, just to throw that there.
You want the new one?
I definitely feel like the new one is better than the Web Weaver. But
yeah,
I'd lean towards Spinewood as a go-to. But if I'm putting Web Weaver in there, I feel like I'd probably just put Rooftop in there.
Yeah, because obviously the main benefit of it is the reach. Because you get extra 2 life, but there's a big cost to it. Mm-hmm. And you don't really have the clock. And then the reach and the flying's basically the same thing. Mm-hmm. It blocks, they both block Sneaky Snackers the same, they both block Fair the same, they both block Ninjas the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
One blocks Ledge Walker. Nah. Point for Rooftop.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I'm not sold on the Web Weaver.
No, yeah.
Just because the awkwardness of it, you have to have the guys in the bin.
Yeah.
So if you want to gain life and you're against Rally or Sly, for instance, the red decks that aren't really mass killing you guys, you sort of have to hold it till there's a few died.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit awkward for sure, but I do like that. I do, as you say, I do like the Viridian right now. Seems pretty good.
Yeah, it seems good. Graveyard decks, I guess, with the Fairy Macabre segue. 7th place Kirby with the cat food combo
thing. Yeah,
Acnoid's cat. I don't know, cat altar, whatever it's called. But quite a changed up version. Trying a lot of new things. The main things being the mana base is basically completely different, right? Mm-hmm. It's got the dredge in quotes mana base with the holdout settlements, survivors encampments, and colony gardens. Basically allowing it to splash molten gatekeepers. And Hilarion wins in the main. Just in case you want to discard your hand and draw that many cards.
Sure, I guess. I find it odd. The Hilarion win's a bit odd because, I guess it does run more lands than the previous one ran, right? The previous one ran, I think, 12 or something like that. I do believe, I'm not 100% certain, but I do believe this is Giorgio's updated version. I still don't get the Tellurian wins as much as I've tried to. You don't seem to have that much stuff, just sat there. I don't know. Especially with...
It's just, I guess, a way to just cycle a bunch of stuff through and hope. I don't know, if you discard a Molten Gatekeepers and Cats, okay, you're not in that bad of a place with it, but it's
yeah,
you are obviously down a card because it just nets nothing.
I feel like I probably would just prefer the cash grab side of things personally. I didn't hate that. It was just naturally just. I mean, I guess with Gatekeeper, as you say, it might be better because obviously worst case scenario with the cash grabs and stuff. If you do end up with a Cauldron in your hand for whatever reason, cycling through your deck and stuff, you just sort of can just play it because 1 mana's not that much of an opportune cost.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It's an odd one all round.
That's obviously the slot that it's filling, isn't it? Really, because it's still Rumble, still Ancient Stirrings, but the cash grabs have gone for the 3 Tellurian wins, and a one of Drafner's Restoration.
Yes,
which is a card I have not seen in a long, long time. It's a blue sorcery from Antiquities.
Sure.
And you basically put a bunch of artifacts from your graveyard on top of your library in any order. But I think it doesn't have to target you. I think you can put your opponent's artifacts on top of their library as well if you want to.
Sure.
I think it targets the player. So if you just need to put a load of lands on top of your affinity player's library, you can do that as well.
Yeah, it's put any number of target artifact cards from target player's graveyard on top of their library.
So yeah, I'm assuming basically in the slot where we've seen the white one before in the Extron, just like stacking a bunch of food, I guess, on top of your deck, or you can rebuy Ashnod's altars and Mirror Retrievers, and just then setting yourself up to combo, or recovering if you like feel like you're gonna fizzle. If you just stick a lot of food back on top, you can then just cycle more and maybe finish them off.
Yeah, I think that's probably that's probably the pull towards this, right? Obviously, Frantic Salvage obviously makes sense in Eggstrong because you can ease, like, the 4 mana doesn't matter that much. For a deck like this, that sort of like flitters on the edge of mana a lot, I can understand playing this card over it. But yeah, it seems its pull is obviously you've got Gatekeeper now. So with Gatekeeper and Familiar, you can sort of just, instead of doing the Lembas loop, you can get there with just Gatekeepers and cat triggers, basically.
I guess the only sort of awkwardness with it is obviously Lembas shuffles.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're stacking your deck with a bunch of food, you have to make sure the Lembas is the bottom, and then you're not getting anything that goes below it. Because once you've played it and sacked it, you've reshuffled the top of your deck. But yeah, just being able to, like, if you're semi going off and then you just put like 4 golden eggs, 4 Nutria blocks back on top of your deck.
Yeah.
And then just continue to live through them, it's gonna ping for a lot more damage, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. The one thing that I do like about this as well, though, is it gives Mer Retriever a bigger purpose too, which is another good thing. Like, obviously, you can just Ashnod's Altar, double Mer Retriever with a Gatekeeper in play now, and just, I'll just loop this.
You've got like the Altatron
win con.
Kill condition of just loop Mer Retrievers. It does actually something. Yeah, I like that. That's a good point, to be fair.
But my only downside to it is there's a lot. It seems like there's a lot more noise in this deck now, where I often felt like with the green-black version, the sort of 12 lands and all the thing, like, if you went for it, it was quite hard for you to fizzle with the Clockwork Fox Mer Retriever sort of engine. Like, you ended up drawing quite a lot of cards naturally, that it's so hard to fizzle, where I feel like, you could fizzle a bit more here with obviously the more lands. You've got Molten Gatekeepers, which not necessarily do as much in some instances. That's my only concern with this sort of thing. But because you've not got is it Ramen as well? They've cut 4 foods for it, right?
Yeah. There's only the 12 food now, which I guess sort of gives more weight to the Molten Gatekeeper Mer Retriever loop actually being something.
Yeah,
like, you're not as reliant on just cat looping people.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. For this version, you're definitely more likely just Gatekeeper, Retriever, loop them, and just sort of Cauldron Familiar is going to give you that survivability. But yeah, it's interesting to see the development of this deck, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Sideboard wise, as a backup plan, there's 4 Riven Chrysalis, just in case. You need a backup plan. 4 Weathers, which sort of makes sense. 4 Crackland Shamans, which is a lot of Crackland Shamans, but obviously we've seen Elves doing the rounds. Makes a lot of sense there. And then the sort of weird section, a one-off recommission, just if you need some extra recursion, I guess. Like, it gets basically everything in your deck back. Because it returns artifact or creature CMC 3 or less. So other than like your 12 instants and sorceries, it hits everything that's not a land. I'm not sure why you would just need a one-off recommission that you can't get back from the graveyard if you get rid of it, but
sure. I don't know. Actually. I guess it's obviously sometimes if you just have Destroy for Altar, Retriever can be awkward to, like, obviously other stuff is fine if you have Altar Retriever, but without Altar, Retriever doesn't really do much returning, I guess. Maybe it's more specifically
you've no way to kill it.
Yeah. I'd assume I'm getting...
You just attack them. Eventually they'll have to block it.
Yeah, but I would guess that's my only thought there. But no way of really digging for it either. You should.
And then the other thing that seems again like quite not a strange choice, but just a bit of a off-piece choice. 2 Apostles' Blessing, which I don't think I've ever seen in a deck that wasn't just like an aggro deck like Kiln Fiend or Infect. I'm assuming it's actually to protect altars.
Yeah, I would assume so
but
as well.
Also protects Gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Because other than that, there's basically no creature you care about protecting. Like the murder retrievers, you don't care about. The cats, you don't care about. The foxes, you don't care about. So it's like basically the only thing you care about is the altar, right?
Yeah,
and maybe a molten gatekeeper if you've already unearthed it.
It's pretty cool though. It's a pretty interesting way to use it, which is pretty cool. Because obviously, like there is other cards that do it right that cost a white. I can't remember. They're usually in like heroic or tribe, right? Like Lorwyn's Escape, I think does it. But obviously, this being a colourless is pretty nice. You can easily just sack a cat and then pay for this until pay 1 and 2 life for this sort of thing. You know what I mean? Pretty easily, which is pretty cool.
And then the final thing that I wanted to touch on is the 8th place White Weenie deck. We sort of mentioned at the top of the show about slow burners from new sets, and this deck is playing a slow burner from a new set with 3 Madu Devotee in the main, which is again a card that from Tarkir Dragonstorm that we mentioned in the pick cards for Pauper sort of episode after the spoilers, and it's not really seen any play until now, and there's 3 of in a White Weenie deck that top 8. Yeah,
it's pretty sweet. Obviously just Scry 2, right, is essentially, it's not really running any of the colours, correct?
No, so it's got 2 of Orzhov Basilica as well as the 3 devotees, and it's to enable 2 Arms of Hadar in the sideboard.
So it does have black. Oh, yeah, it does. Okay.
So it's actually doing some work. I think when we spoke about it initially, we probably mentioned Rally the Peasants. It hasn't gone down that road. It doesn't run Rally. It's got 2 Guardian's Pledge and 2 Chocomog as like the pump. But yeah, it is actually using the fixing ability to splash.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's a cool one. They haven't really even cut much inspectors for it either. There's 1 less Thraben Inspector. Yeah, it's like 2 Chocomogs and a Thraben Inspector. I think that's the cuts. Or something similar. But yeah, cool to see.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Obviously, you can rebuy the Scry as well, so that's also, you get value, obviously, as you do with Skyfisher and stuff, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah. And like the Scry 2 is like, it's not equal to a card, I guess, but it's like getting close. So it's not that much worse than Inspector, and if you can utilize the fix inside of it, obviously enables you to play cards like Arms of Hadar that right now really good elves. Otherwise, like White Weenie will be playing like Holy Lights or stuff like that, which are a tad underwhelming.
Yes, they are definitely leagues apart. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I didn't even... I skimmed past the arms as well, which is pretty cool. Like, I was just like, oh, it's got Scry 2, which is still fine. And then obviously now they've utilised the Basilica and the Devotee for the arms is pretty good. Cool.
2 Spider-Men in there as well, just for reference.
No tree folk. No convoking tree folk.
No.
Not yet.
It's a slow burner. It's a standard set. It's a slow burner. That's what I'm saying.
And also
you have to wait.
And White Weenie are very stubborn players. Like, we've only just now seen Madu Devotee, and that was from Dragonstorm. We've got no hope.
But we are slowly getting new cards filtered in. Obviously, we had the EOE spaceship last week. We're getting Madu Devotee this week. We're getting there, slowly but surely.
Yeah. All those clips.
Moving on to the Sunday. Sunday the 25th. 71 players, so a very good turnout for the Sunday. As Sundays usually are. First place was Jund Wildfire. Second place was Gardens. Third and fourth was Grits Infinity. Fifth place was Elves. Sixth was Heroic. Seventh was Madness. And 8th was Monstertron. And then the 2 near misses, 9th was Rally Red, and 10th was Mono Blue Fit. Unfortunately, Barff did not win this one. He did not make it 4 in a row. That would have been pretty unreal, but 3 in a row will have to do. Going to some deck lists. There's not a huge amount going on at the top end. The Grixis Affinity decks aren't really doing anything different. They're sort of just Luffy. Well, Luffy is third, and Baco is fourth, and they're both basically playing the exact same list, right? The Elves list in fifth is somewhat the stock Elves, like the main deck's the same. Once again, Fairy Macabres in the sideboard. There's one less. There's only 3 this time. 2 Viridian Longbows as well, though, which obviously we touched on is good. The Heroic list, which seems from what I can tell, a development or like tweak of the Hamuda list, right? From Sodec. It's sort of a more traditional, creature base. It's got the four Sky Guards and 4 Trailblazers. And then instead of the Death Blades, it's got 4 Wonderwave Aerialists. Not the usual 3 that seem to be the number for those. It's still on the Guide and Voice Homestead Courage package with the lessons in the sideboard. But there's only 1 Yip Yip and 1 Airbending lesson. So it goes down on sideboard space. Lorwyn's Escape is a one-off, as you sort of mentioned in the Alter Cat deck. But then the real standout is 3 remote farms in the mana base instead of the Sandstep, whatever it's called.
Sandstone Bridge.
Sandstone Bridge, that's the one.
Yeah.
Remote farm being obviously the white depletion land that adds 2 mana.
Yes. I think obviously this list it's pretty interesting, right, from the development side of things. Initially, I was like, the remote farms make sense in like Hamuda's list to try and be as quick as possible, right? Because I think they didn't run Sandstone Bridge because that was like the solid foot and stuff. But the Guide and Voice and the Yip Yip sort of thing was pretty like the main change from Hamuda's list. But they went down on a Yip Yip in the side. But I was thinking, oh, well, that's pretty bad because what if you find like 2 or 3 Guide and Voice? But obviously with like 4 Sentinel's Eyes and then a lot of, like they run 17 lands and 12 creatures, there's definitely a world where you can just loot here and it not be awful, which is...
Yeah, like the worst case is to loot. Well, a rummage, I guess you have to discard first, right? But obviously it has to be the 3rd Guide and Voice to actually even matter. Which I think is probably why it went down. It's like, when are you casting the 3rd Guide and Voice and then still needing to find something, I guess?
I guess my main thought there is, like, obviously you do get Airbending lesson, but like the second one can get an Airbending lesson, but it's like how relevant that is, because there'll be some matches obviously where it's not that relevant, but it's still like looting is probably pretty good, is kind of the... But yeah, it's still like, I think it's fine, and I'm not against it overall. I think it's pretty cool.
I think the Airbending lesson as well with the remote farm is a lot more castable.
Definitely.
But the remote farms in particular, in the way the creature sort of package is developed in this, it looks a lot. It looks like, what's the way to say it? Like the curve where you go remote farm, turn 1, untap, 2-drop creature, land, either hold up protection or put Hyena Umber on it. Like, seems like a pretty legit place to start with heroic. You've got your guy in play, you've got a trigger on it, you've got it protected. You can then untap, have 4 mana on turn 3 to basically dump all your spells onto this guy.
That seems pretty cool.
It seems like a really solid footing, I guess, without solid footing.
It's the better solid footing deck.
Yeah. But yeah, it's cool. It's always cool to see heroic sort of doing well and having a bit of a resurgence. I guess the main takeaway that we don't always see as well is there's 4 Spirit Links and 2 Life Links. 4 Spirit Links in the main, 2 Life Links in the sideboard. So there's a lot of life gain enablers there.
Yeah.
Just in case.
I guess, to be fair, when the creature package includes 4 aerialists, right, there's games where your aerialist isn't that big, right? It's nowhere near as big as a Sky Guard and a Trailblazer, where going up to like 6 of those on that, and then just having, even if it's a 3/3 or a 4/4 or whatever, with a high number or whatever, you can sort of just at least gain, like, obviously double stacking the life is pretty important there, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's the only like awkwardness with the aerialist, isn't it? It's like, it's more survivable, I guess, because it's got ward. Like, so initially, if you like playing it on 2, it's a lot more survivable. But yeah, the scaling, like the only real scaling the deck has outside of the 2 heroic guys being targeted is the 4 ethereal armors. It's not like Bogles. It doesn't have like the mask, like a second ethereal armor option. It doesn't have all the glitters anymore. So it is really like, as you say, you can be hitting with an aerialist and it can just be like a 4/4 for like 3 or 4 turns.
Yeah, but I always really like the protection spells in the sideboard though. The 3 masks of pro red and black, and then the pro blue and green. Always just solid.
Skin shield.
Yeah.
Outside of that, not a huge amount going on with the other lists. The 8th place Monstertron is the list we spoke about last week. With the pinnacle kill ships and the like wretched griffs, bramble worms, boulder branch golems. Not too much different, I don't think. Like, it's even got the Whispers Hill cloak still in the sideboard.
I think it's the same list. I'm gonna take a stab. Yeah.
It looks very similar.
Yeah.
And other than that, like, the rest is just pretty stock.
We've had we've kind of had a good weekend for Rally Red, right? Generally.
Yeah.
None of them have been too crazy. They've all been fairly stock, right? But we have seemed to see it quite a bit over the weekend. Obviously, this came 9th, and then there was 2 in 3rd and 5th on the Saturday.
Yeah. And there was a 3rd on Friday as well, yeah. And an 8th, I think, on the Thursday. Decent showing. Showing there is still red options. I don't think anyone's doubted that Mono Red Madness is or is perceived to be the best red list. But seeing things like Rally Red perform like this is pretty legit. Especially when people are packing hate for elves, and Rally Red succumbs to a lot of that hate as well. For it to still just perform really well is quite impressive. I think elves and Rally Red both, to be fair, have had really good weekend.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Cool to see. Anything else to touch on?
No, I'm quite happy.
Sweet. I'm just scrolling back down now. So the last segment, obviously, is the listener question. And this has been submitted by Triz Siren. Apologies if I've butchered your name there. Did I say that right? Who knows? And the question is, what defines Pauper for you? What makes it unique? And what are defining factors / pillars of format? And how does it feel different than other 60-card formats? Which is a really good question, to be fair.
I think there's quite a lot to unpack in that, though.
There is quite a lot to unpack. Where would you like to start?
Good question. I think there's a few different parts of it. There's the what defines Pauper for you and what makes it unique. There's the pillars of the format, which I think that's less of an opinion piece. I think that's like, you can look at the data and see that. The how does it feel different than other 60-card formats is quite a tough one to answer. Pillars-wise, I think that's the easiest answer and the easiest place to start. I think basically if you just look at the decks that are performing well, you sort of get the answer for that. Obviously Terra and Red X, so Madness, Rally. To an extent, I guess Sly, but I probably wouldn't include it. I'll probably say the 2 red decks with Madness and Rally, Terra and Fear as the 2 blue decks, Elves as a green deck, and then control-wise, stuff like Jund Wildfire, and I guess if you just group Blue-Black X into a category of its own, where it be either Fear or Terra, sort of very similar like deck play, I guess, really. Outside of that, I don't know if there's too many other things I would add into that. I think Affinity definitely used to be a pillar, but I think that's fell off. It's still obviously it's still good, but it's just like the results and the level, the amount it's played has dropped quite a lot in comparison to those decks that I mentioned.
Yeah, it's a strange one for Grixis in particular, right? It's like it's sort of, I would say in general, it's not crazily played compared to, say, Jund Wildfire, but then if I was to only look at, say, for example, challenges that we look at, Grixis seems to generally outperform most of the time on Jund Wildfire. Like, Jund Wildfire goes hot and cold a few times. Same with Colgate, which again, Spy does the same, which are all these really like cool decks that sort of at one point you could have considered a pillar, but sort of just flicker in and out. On another spin, just to take the pillars of another spin as well, there's how I remember people describing pillars of like Legacy of old was not necessarily decks but cards as well. Yeah, which is like an interesting way to, which is the way that I would have interpreted that generally. So like you would look at, I don't know, for example, you've got like Bridges, you've got Leader Stampede would be one I would consider. Yeah, and then you've got
I can see that.
like Brainstorm as well.
Terror.
Yeah, like that side of things, which is pretty interesting. It all depends.
Yeah, I guess if you go down that way, there's like the blue decks. So you've got your Brainstorm, Counterspell, Spellstutter, Sprite, Terror sort of grouping. I feel like Lightning Bolt can probably be its own. Like it's basically just ubiquitous.
Yeah.
And then I like as you say, Lead the Stampede. Obviously, Elves being the main one, but it slots into a lot of the other like Spy or sometimes Green Red Ramp and stuff like that. It like fits in a variety of other decks. Yeah,
which is pretty interesting. It's cool to say, like, there's definitely different ways you can, like, interpret that. I don't know why I always like to look at pillars as cards as opposed to decks, but, yeah, it's pretty interesting, for sure. And essentially it's the easiest one to do, right? You just look at the sort of decks, look at the cards that are generally good. It was kind of like Deadly Dispute of old, right? It was just a good card in all the decks, so therefore it's the pillar of the black sort of X decks sort of thing.
Yeah, I think I'm on board with you. There's cards make more sense. I think particularly with Pauper, because it changes a lot more than other formats that you would use this like system in. Like things fade out and then come back or don't come back and new things appear. Like it's never as set for as long. Like I feel like Legacy, or when we played Legacy, it's obviously very different now after Modern Horizons, but it was pretty set for like a long time.
Yep.
But yeah, I think Pauper changes that often that it's wise to look at it with cards, because although the decks change for the most part, Lightning Bolt, Counterspell, Brainstorm are pretty ubiquitous.
Yeah, the engines sort of don't. I guess the engine's probably not the good way, but yeah, sort of that sort of thing is right. That sort of thing doesn't really change. But I guess going on to that, how does it feel different than other 60 card formats? I guess that's a tough one to talk about, right?
I think that's quite a personalized one. Like it depends how you play the game and what you enjoy from the game. I always find Pauper is just more interesting to me than a lot of formats. Like I think the interactions, the play patterns, like the way cards work with each other or against each other is a lot deeper than Standard and Pioneer, for example. And then it doesn't have the same feel. Like Modern has similar interactions, but also just every deck is trying to run you over as fast as possible, where Pauper doesn't have that. Like there are decks that are trying to kill you as fast as possible, but there's also decks that want to grind you out and grind the game out, where Modern is just very much, I want to do my plan. I am going to like run through you to do my plan. I'll use my counter to stop you and then I'll do my plan. Whereas Pauper, you have decks like Gardens that are basically just like, I'm just going to stop you doing anything and then eventually I'll crawl over the finish line, which is something you don't really have in other formats.
Yeah, I can see that. I really like the fact as well, for me, like I say personally, like it sort of does what defines Pauper for you as well. First of all, for the most part, you get cool stuff. The thing that I like as well, which is really cool that Pauper gets that others don't, is downshifts. Getting excited for downshifts is the coolest thing. Like, I don't know why, it's just awesome. Like, some Masters set and you're like, everyone's like, oh, this is Masters set, we get cool new reprints, and we're like, oh, what downshifts do we get? This is like Christmas for us. I always find that really cool.
That sort of fell by the wayside lately though, hasn't it? Because we've lost Masters sets.
Yeah. So
it's like if there's something in a commander deck that's weirdly being changed, which I feel like they've stopped doing that as well.
Yeah, I think
which is a shame because it was cool.
But you had that, and then I don't know. I also feel like because obviously everything is not just 1-2 sort of combo-y stuff. It's all, like, as you say, it runs a lot deeper in the cards. Like you often get like you can force random interactions and just see what happens. You know what I mean? Like that always feels pretty cool to me compared to other ones, like because it's all janky and not necessarily sometimes as strong, but sometimes is as strong as other formats. It kind of, I don't know, it adds to the flair of, I don't know. That's one thing that I do like about it. And also the actual biggest one that is actually really important. It doesn't get absolutely run over as much as other formats by Modern Horizons. That's always a big pull.
Yeah.
You know, you get slightly set on fire as opposed to someone throws petrol over you.
Yeah, there's like there's less risk to it, I guess, than other formats. Like if you bought your high tide deck, like you're not losing 700-800 quid when it gets banned. You're losing like 50 quid.
Yeah.
Um,
and half of it's still playable.
And a lot of the cards are still playable, yeah, in other decks. I think the what defines Pauper for me, I'm going to take in a different direction and basically look at the community that it sort of develops. Because I just think Pauper in particular has developed in a lot of places, like probably one of the best Magic communities. Wherever you go, like locally or like within the UK with like Dan running MPO or Nationals. And then obviously when you go to Pauper again, like everyone you play against from whatever country they're from, 99% of people are just like happy to talk to you and just have a crack no matter what the result of the game is. They're just there for the fun of the game, for the fun of the format, and to interact with other people who really enjoy this format.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's something that is not this, like, doesn't apply to other formats. Like if you go to an RCQ, like, and you beat some guy on a modern deck, like, he's not going to be happy. He's going to walk away from the table and not sit and have a crack with you. But if you go to Pop again and Madness Burn some guy out, he'll then sit and have a crack with you about how bad his matchup is to Madness Burn, and he was hoping to dodge it all day and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely is, community-wise, it's the most uniquest to me, for sure. I think, sort of adjacent to that, when it comes to communities as well, I think it's a good format for community-driven, as 60-card formats go, because it can often be an escape for other communities to go away from, like, Commander and EDH. Without, as you said, without breaking the bank. It's just an easy thing.
It's quite an easy sell.
Yeah. It's a vet, like, this, I don't know, some guy at your club or whatever, or your LGS is, like, absolutely shelled out on his foil EDH deck or Commander deck, and then you're like, do you want to come play Modern with me? It's only £800 to buy a deck or whatever, plus, you know, that's a cheap deck, here you go. And then it's like, nah, I'm good. You pay, he's £50 to just try this deck out. Here, just, I'll have this to lend, or, no, I'll buy it, it's only £50. Easy. I'm not, and then all of a sudden, 3 months later, they actually prefer playing Pauper anyways to Commander. Generally what happens.
I guess it is definitely something unique to the format, where it's probably the only format I've came across where anyone who plays it usually has like 5 or 6 decks. Like Modern, like the majority of people have one deck, the deck that they're playing. Same with Standard, like most people have one deck. It's basically like Commander and Pauper, where everyone just has like a bunch of decks, which make it a lot easier for people to get into those formats because you can just lend decks.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, pretty cool.
Is that enough Pauper glazing for today?
Yeah, that's it. Pauper is awesome, but as you probably know, if you are listening to this, you probably also agree with us. But there you go. There's our insight on the... Well, it was quite a good question, but obviously had a lot of different points. Hopefully we answered that so you are content.
And that listener will be entered into the giveaway.
Well, just there you go. Easy.
Oh no, it's you get a giveaway. It's even better now.
It's even better.
There's no randomness.
There you go. Congratulations. You have been given some play points. I will reach out to you at the end of recording this.
Thank you, Daybreak.
Yes. Anything else to add?
No, that's it for me.
That is all from us at Casting Comments. Blech. Thank you all for the continued support. Do not forget to tell your friends, your family, and even your nurses. Until next time, and don't forget to stay hydrated. Peace!